All right, so the first step in order of operations is your grouping. Whether it's parentheses or whether it is brackets, absolute value counts as a grouping. Even your division line actually groups your numerator and groups your denominator, okay? And so there's different types of grouping besides parentheses. It's just a way to remember it. So your first step is to do your grouping. Any grouping, you're going to do what's inside first. And you're actually going to do the other steps of order of operation within your grouping. The other steps would include exponents. So the next thing in the order of operation is to evaluate your exponents. All right, and in this case, we've been doing exponents and kind of rules of exponents, but now we're actually going to evaluate, meaning if it's 3 squared, we're actually going to make it 9 at this point because we're evaluating. Then you do multiplication division from left to right. Okay, you do not do all the multiplication and then all the division. You do whatever order it comes in from left to right. All right, no matter whether it's division or multiplication first, you do those from left to right. And then you do all of your addition and subtraction from left to right. Again, you don't do all your addition and then all your subtraction. You will get the wrong answer because it's going to mess you up that way. So always do it from left to right, your addition and subtraction. All right, and that is your order of operations. This is one of the most common mistakes that adults make when they are doing calculations is they do not do the correct order of operations. They post it on social media all the time. They'll have this problem and you'll have 50 different answers because people did it in a different order and they didn't use order of operations. And this holds true all the way through the rest of your math life. Order of operations, you need to remember it. So let's look at the example 1 that they have. They want us to evaluate. In this first example, they didn't give us any grouping. All right, so for these examples, there's no grouping. We're going to go straight to our exponents. And I will say that I'm going to write these out step by step. I don't require that you write it out step by step, but as you are going through this process to check yourself, it's a good idea to write out your steps. So let's look at this first one. What then do I do first here? What do I have? I have exponents. So I have an exponent right here. And I'm going to do that one first. I'm going to leave everything else alone except my exponent. So I'll say 2 plus what is 3 squared? 9, thanks. 4 divided by 2 times 3. All right. So I've done my exponents. What's my next rule? Multiplication division. Here is where you will mess up if you do it multiplication first. All right. If I were to do this multiplication first, I would do the 2 times the 3. And then I would say 4 divided by 6. That is not how you're supposed to do this, all right? If I did that, I would get a fraction there. If I do it from left to right, I'm not, and I'm going to get the right answer. All right, so I'm just going to go left to right and do my division and then my multiplication. So my next step here would actually be to do the negative 4 divided by 2. So what am I going to get here? Right, I'm going to get a negative 2 there. And then I'm going to do that multiplication here. All right, so I'm going to say 2 plus 9, and then negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. All right, so now I have done my multiplication and division from left to right. And my last step is to do addition and subtraction. So my first is the addition, 2 plus 9, and then 11 minus 6. And so that would be my answer for this problem. And I promise if you do not do it in that order, you will get a different answer. And it will be the wrong answer. There's only one answer here. Let's look at the next one. The next one has multiple exponents. We have 2 cubed and we have 3 squared. All right, now this is not negative 3 squared. It's minus 3 squared. So think about what we talked about with exponents, all right? It does matter where the negative is. You're going to do the 3 squared first and leave the minus in front of it. Leave the minus in front of it. The only way it would turn positive is if it looked like this, the negative 3 in parentheses and squared. That is completely different than what they're telling us right here. That would actually give us a positive number. This is going to give us a negative. All right? So I'm going to do my exponents here. It says 2 cubed. What does that mean? 2 times 2 times 2, which is what?
8.
Yep, 8. I also have a 1 squared. 1 to any power is 1. I'm not going to do my multiplication there. 3 squared, 9, and then plus 9 divided by 3. All right, now I'm going to do my multiplication and division from left to right. So I have a multiplication here, And I have a division here. So I'm going to say 8 minus 1 plus, what is 5 times 4? 20. Minus 9, what is 9 divided by 3? 3. And now I'm going to do my addition and subtraction. 8 minus 1 is 7 plus 20. 27 minus 9. It's 18. Just subtract 10 and add 1. Plus 3. 21. And that would be my answer there. All right. All right, let's try some. We're going to do 4, 8, and 12. 4, 8, and 12 on page 40. 4, 8, and 12 on page 40. All right, let's check your work. For the first one, number 4, you should have gotten negative 11. Negative 11. For number 8, you should have gotten negative 144. And for number 12, negative 3. Negative 3. Does anybody need to see any of those? Number 8, anything else? How'd we do? All right. The first one. All right, let's go through these 3. All right, so the first one, I don't have any grouping. That parentheses is just how they're writing multiplication. So I am actually going to do my multiplication division from left to right, which means I'm going to do the 18 divided by 3 first. So I have 1 plus, what is 18 divided by 3? 6 times negative 2. Then I am going to do the 6 times negative 2. What is 6 times negative 2? Negative 12. 1 plus negative 12 equals negative 11. All right, let's look at the next one. I have negative 81 minus 14 times 3 divided by 2 times 3. All right, I'm going to do multiplication division from left to right. So I am going to multiply the negative 14 and the 3. What is negative 14 times 3? Negative 42 divided by 2 times 3. Then I am going to do my negative 42 divided by 2. So I have negative 81. What is negative 42 divided by 2? Negative 21 times 3. Then I'm going to do one more multiplication here. I have negative 81, and then I have negative 21 times 3, which is what? There we go. And then I can do my addition here. Now this is subtraction. So remember, you can change it to adding the opposite. So I have negative 81 plus negative 63. I am just going to add those up and keep that a negative. 3 and 1 is 4. 8 and 6 is 14. Because they were both negative, my answer will also be negative. All right. Then let's look at the last one. For the last one, I do have a grouping for this one. So I'm going to do that grouping first, and we'll do some more grouping in a minute. But we have 6 times 3 divided by, and then we have the 5 plus 4, so we need to go ahead and do that. Makes that a 9. Plus 1 minus 6. That's all of my grouping. I don't have any exponents, so I'm going to do multiplication division from left to right. 6 times 3 is 18 divided by 9 plus 1 minus 6. Then I am going to do my 18 divided by 9. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So I have 2 plus 1 minus 6. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Now we did a little bit with that one, but now we're going to do some different types of grouping. The first one is the grouping you're accustomed to, just parentheses, all right? Parentheses, and we know to do that first. B actually combines multiple types of grouping, all right? So you see parentheses, but that division line or that fraction line automatically groups the numerator and the denominator. So even if you don't see a group, you can think of it as having a group around the numerator and having a group around the denominator. And what this means is you are going to completely simplify the numerator and completely simplify the denominator before you do the division of the numerator to the denominator, all right? And then the last thing, if you'll notice, it has absolute value marks. So you can see that it actually has parentheses, but it also has these absolute value marks. Absolute value marks work as grouping as well. And so when you have grouping within grouping, you work from the inside out. All right, you do your grouping on the inside first and work your way out to the exterior grouping. So we're going to do these three together. Let's look at the first one. The first one's very simple. It's just one set of grouping. So I am going to do this 5 plus 7 first. I have 2 plus 3. What is 5 times 7? 12 divided by 2. All right. Now that I've done my grouping, I put the parentheses around it, but that's really just multiplication. The only time it's grouping, truly grouping, is when you have addition, subtraction on the inside. All right. So now I have multiplication, division from left to right. I'm going to do this. 3 and 12 is... There we go. Divided by 2. All right. And then I'm going to do the 36 divided by 2, which is what? 18. And then I can do my addition, which gives me 20. All right. That's the simple grouping. And then we start adding extra grouping. All right. So when we add extra grouping, we're going to do the innermost grouping first. So we are going to do the inner grouping here. You can do it together, like you can do the inner groupings of the numerator and the denominator, and then you can simplify whatever's easiest for you. All right, so we're going to do all of this inner grouping first. So I have on the numerator, I have 2, and then negative 3 plus 7. What is that? Subtract and keep the sign of the larger, right? So I get what? Positive 4, right? And then 7 minus 5, that one's easy, minus 2. And then on the bottom, I have 5 minus 3. 1 minus 4 gives me what? Negative. All right, so that's that grouping there, okay? And you don't have to have parentheses at this point around this one right here because there is no multiplication involved. You typically use it just for the multiplication. All right, so now I'm going to do completely simplify the numerator, completely simplify the denominator. So within the numerator, I have multiplication. That's what I need to do first. 2 times 8. And then I have 8 minus 2. On the bottom, I need to do the negative 3 times the negative 3. So I have something like that on the bottom. All right. Pay attention to your positives and negatives as well when you're doing this, okay? So on the top, I end up, what is 8 minus 2? 6, and 5 plus 9 is... Do I leave it like this? No, I don't want to leave it as 6 over 14. So on your quizzes, you may have seen something that said reduce. We don't ever leave a fraction if I can reduce it, okay? So what can go into 6 and 14? 2. So I actually divide both of those by 2 to reduce it. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So my final answer here would be 3/7. All right? Questions on that one? And then the last thing has absolute value. So the absolute value works as the outer grouping, and then I'm going to do my innermost grouping and all of my order of operations within that absolute value before I apply the absolute value and continue on with the rest of it. So I'm going to start with this grouping here, and then I'm going to move from there. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is that 3 minus 5. So I have 9 minus 3. Absolute value of 2 plus 7 times 2 cubed. And then I'm going to do this 3 minus 5, which is what? Negative 2. Absolute values after that, and minus 4. All right? And so now I'm going to look at this inner piece here and do my order of operations. What's my first step of order of operations in there? I've gotten rid of my grouping. Yeah, I have that exponent. So I'm going to say 9 minus 3. 2 plus 7 times, what is 2 cubed? 8. And that's times a negative 2. And then we have minus 4. Next to my order of operations is multiplication, right? From left to right. So I have 9 minus 3, 2. So I have 7 times 8. What is 7 times 8? 56. And then I have 56 times negative 2. What is 56 times negative 2?
Negative 112.
Right, negative 112. Right? No, it is 100. It's 56, not 58. That's a 56. Yep. Minus 4. All right. Does everybody see that? I just did my multiplication. 7 times 8, and then I took 56 times negative 2. Just multiplied that answer. All right. I still have a grouping. It is my absolute value, so I'm going to do this part first. 9 minus 3. What is 2 minus 112? Negative 110. So we say 112 minus 2, and my negative was bigger. All right? How do I handle that absolute value? What is this going to actually be when I apply it? It's going to be a positive, right? So 9 minus 3 times positive 110 minus 4. What's my next step in my order of operations? Yeah, multiply these two. So we have negative 330 or minus 330 and 4. And then I can just do it from left to right. Yes. So I have 9 minus 330. That's what? Negative 321. Minus 4 is negative 325. All those big numbers. I'm going to put the answers up here so you can check your work as you do it. Questions on these. All right, so the first one, we have the absolute value brackets here. And then we are going to do what's inside with order of operations. So we're going to have to do this exponent first, then the multiplication, then the addition within the absolute value. And then once we've done that, we can do order of operations for the rest of it. All right. So the first mistake that I saw a lot of people doing, when I have a negative 3 inside the parentheses, it's negative 3 times negative 3. So that's going to be positive 9 on that one right there. So I have 4 plus 2 times positive 9 there. When it is inside the parentheses and you're squaring it, then you square the negative as well. Order of operation on the inside again. I'm going to do multiplication. So I have negative 3 squared minus 5, absolute value of 4. Then 2 times 9 is 18. So it looks like that. I still have a grouping. So I'm going to do this grouping first. Negative 3 squared minus 5 times 4 plus 18 is 22. All right. And now I've gotten rid of my groupings. And I can just go on to my exponents that were outside. For this one, the negative is outside of the square. It is not in parentheses. So negative 3 squared, when it's not in parentheses, is going to be a negative 9. And then I'm going to do my multiplication. Negative 5 times 22 is negative 110. Remember, subtraction is just adding the opposite. So I have negative 9 plus negative 110 is negative 119. Let's look at the next one. I have brackets and then parentheses within my brackets. And so I'm going to work from the inside out here. I'm going to work from the inside out. So I'm going to do my order of operations here first, which means I am going to do this multiplication. So I'm going to leave everything else the same. 9 minus the bracket 9 plus 4 times 2 is 8 plus 6 plus 4 plus 2. All right. I still have grouping within grouping. So I need to do this 8 plus 6 first. 9 minus negative 9. Yep, there's a times 6 there. Plus 14 plus 4 plus 2 times 6. All right. I still have a grouping here. So I'm going to do this grouping. So I have 9 minus negative 9 plus 14. I'm going to subtract and keep them positive because the 14 was bigger. So 14 minus 9 is what? hopefully 5, plus 4 plus 2 times 6. All right. I don't have any grouping left. I don't have any exponents. I'm going to go straight to multiplication and division. So I'm going to do this multiplication first. 9 minus 5 plus 4 plus 2 times 6 is 12. And then I can just do addition, subtraction from left to right. 9 minus 5 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 12 is 20. Let's look at the next one. I technically have 2 sets of groupings here. Shh, quiet, we're almost done. 2 sets of grouping here, all right? So I'm gonna do the numerator and the denominator separately before I divide them, all right? So within the numerator, I have a grouping 2 minus 3. So I have 4 plus 2 minus 3 is -1 times 6. On the bottom, I have 3 minus 2, 8 minus 9 times 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. All right, on the top, I have 4, and then -1 times 6 is -6. On the bottom, I have 8 minus 9, which is what? -1, right? 4 minus 6 is -2 over -1. Now I can do that division, which is just +2.